Hello, everyone, and welcome to something truly special. And that is, we're gonna have to talk something about something sad and happy at the same time. This is our third season in the PUDL, and this is the last ever season of the PUDL. This is the last ever season, and I was kind of shocked by the news that the PUDL is ending because this place. Well, I speak from the heart here a bit. This place has been the draft league that I've been in so many great draft leagues, VDL, MMC, Mudkip Division, PPL, so many cool draft leagues we've been in. But this draft league, we've been here for 3 seasons. It's, I think, tied for the draft league we've been in the most seasons of. It's always felt like such a nice, friendly place. Just not even just the league, but the server as well. Just the people. They were so welcoming when I first arrived many months ago, and I've met so many cool people, have made so many friends here. So this is so surreal that we're ending. I'm also there's good news because they are merging with the VDL, who we've also been. Yes, I think is the league we're tied with most seasons played in, and that I know that place is incredible, and I'm so glad that a lot of the cool people I've met over here, the PUDLs, are going to be over there, and I can interact with them over there too. So yeah, this is kind of surreal to be saying that this is the last ever draft analysis I'm doing for the PUDL. But at the same time, I am so excited to show you the team, and I'm so excited to play, and hopefully we can try and win the last ever season and have that on our accomplishment record. Have it be our first ever draft league win. That would be huge. But yeah, anyway, now that we've got over the mushy stuff, who cares about feelings, honestly? No. Let's get into the draft itself. Our team is here, and we're gonna witness what it is. So, a few bit of context for the rules. This is the last ever season, so the PUDL decided to spice it up in the moment. We are still playing PAL decks, and we're still playing not Ubers, but just regular PAL decks. But we are doing high tier Terra. That's right. With our Terra captains, usually some mid-tier mons that get a bit of a power boost. No, the big guys are getting even stronger this season. We were given 115 points, I believe. I'm probably accurate. That was 120, something around that amount of points. That's not the important bit. We were given that amount of points to draft 10 Pokemon, and we were given 25 Terra points. That's the important part. That's related to this high tier Terra. 25 Terra points to pick up to 3 Terra captains. The highest point Terra captains were 18 points. Those are the top of the top, the best of the best. Obviously, there were a lot of Terra bands, stuff like Blood Moon and Latias and Baxcalibur. Those stuff weren't allowed to Terra because that would be just monstrous. But there were still some crazy things on the board nonetheless. We ended up with the 15th pick out of 16 coaches. So not quite the wheel pick, but still a very solid pick in order. Being able to obviously have 2 picks in between our 2 picks. Obviously, we'd love to be wheel, but we get to have 2 picks very close together, which means we can do a lot of great team synergy. It also means that we might not get the best pick in the first round, but we do get like one of the best picks in the second round, and so forth every single round. So yeah, it was a very solid position to be in. I was looking at the board, and obviously being 15th, so many good coaches ahead of me, I was completely unsure on what I was going to get. I was like, do I want to get like one of the best Terra captains, but any really great ones are going to still be there? Am I going to go for? Am I going to expect people to go for the high point Terra captains and instead go for something big from the top of the board like Iron Valiant or Dragapult? In the end, we saw a lot of people go for those high point mons. And one thing that this first pick here, bit of a story here. This pick was in a big contention. This guy was on the board. Everyone was like, this thing should not be able to Terra. This thing should be banned. Why is it allowed to Terra? And I was like, oh, this is going to go heavily early. But somehow, everyone avoided it. I guess some reason. And it fell to me at 15th. And I was like, everyone's talking about how great this is. I think it's going to be a great mon when I first looked at the board. How has this fallen to me? I have to pick it. So, the Towering Titans' first pick for the last ever season of PUDL is Terra Latios. We have Cobalt the Latios with Terra Captaincy. This thing is going to go crazy. It's time to drop some Dracos, man. We have Terra Latios. Now, we used Latios in the first ever draft league I ever posted to YouTube. And unfortunately, that league was cut short, but that thing was a monster even there without Terra on the team. It's just so fast with that 110 speed and that 130 special attack hits so hard. And it's not even bad with this bulk 80 HP and 80 defense, and then you go 110 Spadef, obviously the flip of Latios. This one's a more offensive one. This thing is crazy. Latios was Terra banned, but this thing was just squeezed through as allowed as a Terra captain, and I think this thing is going to go crazy. This thing has so many great moves. Its signature move, Luster Purge, 100 base, 100 accuracy, 95 base power move that has a 50% chance to lower Spadef, which means we hit even harder. Draco Meteors with obviously that Terra Dragon, because we have to run one stab type. Terra Dragon Dracos are ridiculous, and we can even run Dragon Pulse. We can be Dragon Dance physical sets because we have 90 base attack. I think there's so much coverage. Things like Dragon moves, Psychic moves, Earthquake on the physical side, Flip Turn, a Liquidation, Surf, Lost to Purge, Thunderbolt, Energy Ball, you name it. This Shadow Ball, this thing has it. It's ridiculous. Can set up with things like Carmine, Dragon Dance on the physical side if you want. This thing is ridiculous. We have Steel if you want to be defensive, resist all those, flip all those dragon weaknesses into resistances. Even things like no longer being weak to Dark and Ghost is great. We can just gain access to obviously Terra Blast Steel as well, which helps with those pesky fairies that want to swap into us. Pesky ice types can make us no longer be weak to those dragon types, while we also drop Dracos. Or if we just want to be offensive, we just do Terra Dragon and just drop Dracos. We can have Soldu, which is the signature item, boost our dragon and psychic moves even further if we want to not be able forced to run like a life orb or a choice item and still hit those incredible Draco Meteors. This thing is gonna go absolutely crazy. And before I forget to mention it, I should probably bring up the naming theme. We always do one. This season we're going for periodic table elements. I'm hoping that we're naming them after obviously how they are in their shortened forms and not their lengthened forms, just because some of them are quite long. But yeah, I'm hoping I remember all of them because it's been a while since I've named them, and I'm recording this. But yeah, let us get, that is our strong first pick in Latios, which is a crazy thing. Obviously I mentioned that we were 15th, which means we quickly got up another pick, and I was thinking, my number one thing now is I have Terra Latios, and I'm going to support Terra Latios. Be that with hazards or something to help with its weaknesses. Obviously we had the Terra Steel, which helps us flip a lot of those dragon weaknesses. So I was more on flipping those psychic weaknesses of Ghost and Dark especially. Bug we could resist with the Steel, so I wasn't as worried about that one. So yeah, we were thinking we need a strong something, maybe hazards to help weaken things for Latios. Solid resist to Ghost and Dark would be helpful, and also something that's just generally super bulky that can support Latios and take those hits on the swap. And that's why we picked up Prometheum the Ting Lu. I have never used Ting Lu before, and every time I have to face this thing, it is a monster defensively. And that's why we picked it up, because I think it's such a great mod. That dark typing resists the Ghost and Dark that we wanted. Has access to both spikes and stealth rock, which is huge. 155 HP with 125 defense is a ridiculous amount of physical bulk, but also still being able to hit really hard with 110 attack. Obviously, it's a 45 speed, which is really nice just to match, to flip Latios' super fast speed. And 80 Spadef might look, oh, it's not as great there, but then you have the ability Vessel of Ruin, which lowers the opponent's Spadef, which is special attack, sorry, not Spadef, which is crazy, and basically means that the defense and Spadef are basically equal on this thing. This thing is an incredible war Pokemon that just comes in, can click hazards, can click Ruination, has access to Whirlwind to force people to take more hazards, Earthquake, Payback, rock moves to hit those things that are immune on the flying side. This thing is a ridiculously great wall, and it's an incredible forms an incredible partnership with Latios, and I'm so excited to use them all season, hitting hard with Latios, potentially dropping a Terra Dragon Draco, being at -2, the opponent tries to capitalize on that. No, Ting Lu comes in and walls whatever they bring in to counter Latios. This thing is going to be a ridiculous partner, and I'm so excited to use it this season. Now, going into round 3, obviously we had the bulk, we had the Latios, At this point in the draft, a lot of people have already picked their dragons and trying to finish off their steel and their dragon steel fairy cores. So I was like, I need to jump on that, but at the same time, I've spent a lot of points with 18 points on Latios and 17 points on Tinglu super early on. So I want something a little bit cheaper. Obviously, I can have the wheel pick as well, the basically wheel pick, so we can also pick up something great afterwards. But I was thinking we need either a steel or fairy. And a lot of the good fairies had gone, but I saw something on the board that kind of fixed both problems at the same time, and that is Tinkerton. Obviously, I used Tinkerton in the first ever draft I played, and it was incredible back then. That was back when I was extremely noobish and I didn't use it well. So I'm trying to redeem that this season with using it here. We have obviously this is a steel fairy type, takes up both those roles, can basically two Pokemon, Dragon and Steel Fairy Core is always very funny. Obviously, 11 points, pretty cheap. This thing is a great utility mon, right? It gives us our second Stealth Rocker. Is in general just a very good knockoff user. Is a very bulky mon overall. Molt Breaker is really nice ability. Pickpocket, I've seen it sometimes fail, but can in general do some good stuff. Obviously, doesn't have the greatest offensive stats, but does have that 94 speed, which is very nice. Does 16 points slower than Latios, kind of fits a very nice speed tier there for us. Very good, specially defensively. If we want to be like obviously take advantage of Tinglu's very good Fizz Def. On there, we can also use this as a special wall if we need. Has access to Stealth Rock, has access to Encore. I love fast Encore users; those are always great mons. Knockoff, Ice Hammer, that signature move, Gigaton Hammer, Play Rough, has access to Swords Dance, so that even though it's got 75 attack only, it can boost that up well. It can even be special sometimes with stuff like Flash Cannon and Draining Kiss access to heal it up. This thing is a very good utility Pokemon, and I think is a very nice, fills in a very good Steel and Fairy type for our team, and just means that we don't have to spend as many points on Steel and Fairy types. While getting a really good one for such a low price. So yeah, now that we have the Tinkaton, the Tinglu, and the Latios, it also allows us another big thing is both of our original Pokemon are weak to bug. This thing obviously has the quad resistance to bugs, so that was very important to me. Yeah, and also we both also weak to fairy, so it also helps with that. So very nice pair with the two of our first two picks, and I think it's going to be a great Pokemon that we can rely on. So yeah, we obviously picked up Tinkaton. I will say it is Erbium. This is probably the hardest one for me to remember, so I'm glad I did remember it. This one is Erbium, the only, I believe, natural periodic table element that is pink in its natural form. Promethium is obviously based on Prometheus, Tinglu and Cobalt. Latios is blue. So yeah, that is Erbium and the Tinkaton, and I think it's going to be a very nice pick on our team. Going into round 4 now. Obviously, we have some great hazard setters in Tinglu and Tinkaton, so my thought process started to kind of move over towards removal. As great as we are at setting those hazards, we need a way to remove them. So my first thought is I need a good removal mon. A lot of the great rapid spinners like Great Tusk, Iron Treads, Quaquaval had all gone at this point. I think I was very much looking to take Quaquaval initially with these within these two picks, but it got sniped before I was able to. So I had to pivot, and I was thinking of a good default one if I couldn't grab a good rapid spin one. So we picked up something that I have had previous use of and did very well for me, and that is Strontium, the Talonflame. Strontium, the Talonflame. We used Talonflame in MMC, and it was ridiculously good for us, right? This thing is a incredible defogger. Flying is such a great type. Two incredible abilities in Flame Body and Gale Wings. And obviously 126 speed is a ridiculous amount of speed. Just helps. We obviously always want to have something that's incredibly fast, and this is that incredibly fast one on our team. This thing is very solid. It's just a great defogger, has good pivoting in U-turn. I didn't talk about it, but our only other pivoter is Flip Turn on Latios right now, so it was very nice to pick up another pivot mon. And this thing can also be a Swords Dance set if needed, but its main purpose is just like Brave Birding, Fire Blitz, two great stabs. And yeah, essentially it's just basically here to be an incredibly good defogger. Can be a decent physical wall, potentially grab snags and burns with Will-O-Wisps or Flame Bodies. Another great support mon just to help out those end game Latios sweeps, while also maintaining that high speed, so you can outspeed stuff like Meowscarada and other fast Pokemon, like maybe even like Cyclozar and stuff. stuff like that, which are like at that 120 speed tier, and just put in a lot of work. So yeah, very excited to use Talonflame again. It was incredibly reliable in the last season that we used it, and it's going to be even more powerful now that we have it on this team. I think with these Pokemon here that support it. Obviously, with it's very weak to rock, but then we have two incredibly great rock resistant Tinglu and Tinkaton. Yeah, this thing has great synergy with the other three on the team so far. So yeah, going into round 5. Now this was an interesting one. Obviously, we only had the one Defogger and Talonflame, which isn't the bulkiest Pokemon in the world. So I did probably want a bit more removal. I also wanted a bit of we got a good amount of speed here between the 110 of Latios, the 126 of Talonflame, and the 94 of Tinkaton, so I did want to grab something that's a bit slower just to help out. I also wanted to grab some priority. Obviously, we do have priority Brave Bird, but other than that, it's not something that I'm going to run every week, Gale Wing, so I wanted a bit more priority. And I also wanted a strong fighting type. Obviously, I was still reeling from losing Quaquaval Snipe, so I did have to scramble for a new fighting type. And yeah, what we picked up is Aluminium the Conkeldurr at 9 points. At 9 points, I think this is a really, really good Pokemon. Obviously, access stat defog, so that second defogger. We only had Latios as like our special break, like especially offensive Pokemon that does a lot of damage. And we had Tinglu with 110, but it's not the greatest. So I did want to grab another strong physical attacker, and I think we did that very, very well with 140 attack on Conkeldurr. This is a ridiculous Pokemon, especially when you think about the fact that this gets both Guts, Sheerfalls, and Iron Fist, 3 great damage boosting abilities. Obviously, she is slow, but that's what we wanted. It's also pretty decent on the physically bulky side if we need it to be. This thing is such a great mon, right? Defog access can be bulk up sets, has Mark Punch for priority, which is very, very important. Can be those Guts Flame Orb sets with Facade and like CC, and just has knockoff as well. Another knockoff use is always nice. This thing is a incredibly strong physical attacker. It can be great to like force switches, and just does ridiculous amounts of damage, especially when set up with a bulk up or flame or burnt and having its guts active. So yeah, it's something that I've wanted to use for a long, long time, and constantly get sniped on, similar to I think Tinglu that's on this team. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to use it, and I thought it paired very, very nicely with our round 6 pick, which is Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash, very, very interesting Pokemon. I did notice that we still weren't the greatest into ground, and we also had the immunities in Latios and Talonflame. But other than that, if we came across like a really, really strong Pokemon who had access to rock moves, we were still going to struggle. So I did pick up Rotom Wash. Obviously, we were very cheap in those last 3 rounds, picking up a 10, 11, and 9 pointer to pair with our 18, 17 to start. So I was left with actually a lot more points than I expected to be at this stage. So I was thinking, Rotom Wash is very, very expensive at 15. But with the amount of points we have, I think we can justify it. So we did pick it up. That gives us our 3rd Levitate Mon. So we're not very weak to ground on this one. It's a big problem with normally Power Dex drafts, is you end up very, very weak to ground just because of the way that the dex is. But not looking weak to ground is always very, very nice. This thing is a great Mon, right? Water Electric is such a great typing, especially with that levitating ability. It means its only weakness is grass, which is very, very nice. 107 in both defenses is always great, with that nice 86 speed tier, which is also perfect because it's just 10 points slower than Tinkaton, while also having a very high 105 special attack. We were looking at everything we drafted after Latios was physical attackers, so we did need another special attacker on the team, and I think Rotom Wash does that perfectly. It's a great bulky water. It has great pivoting with Volt Switch. It can be Will-O-Wisp set. Obviously, has to rely on Hydro Pump, which isn't the greatest for its water moves, but we will somehow make it work, I'm sure. It can be like Will-O-Wisp Hex sets, obviously. It can be Pain Split. It can just be a Thunder Wave. It can be such an annoying Pokemon, while also dishing out a surprising amount of damage. So yeah, I'm very excited to use Rotom, and I think it's a very, very great fit on the team. Is named Copper, the Rotom Wash. Forgot to mention that for some reason. Next up, we went into round 7, and for round 7, I had 1 goal and 1 goal only, and that is a mon that I have been wanting for the last 3 or 4 drafts. Always get sniped the round just before I'm gonna pick it. I was like, I have to get this mon. It's so cool, and it also fills in. We obviously have removal on this team, but so far we only have removal that removes from both sides. We have the double defog on Talonflame and Conkeldurr. So I did want a good rapid spinner. I did think this Pokemon is a great rapid spinner, while also having a very, very good fit on the team. And that is Big Iridia Iridium, the Serena. Iridium, that is it. The most royal element in the periodic table, according to Google. Anyway, 10-point Pokemon. Serena, I wanted this thing for so long. Yeah, it fits so many good points on this team. It hits a rapid spinner. We needed a rapid spinner. It's at the 72, which means it's 14 below Rotom. Very, very nice. Speed tier jump. I did think we need something in the 70 range. It is another strong physical attacker, but it's one with the 120 attack, which is very, very strong. Also having 72 HP mixed with 98 defenses is very, very strong. At the same time, it's also got great ability in Queenie Majesty, completely blocking priority, which is just so nice to have, right? This thing can just be like a check to so many monsters. Stuff like Rillaboom, like Grassy Glides. You just go, hello, I'm Queenie Majesty. Sorry, that you wanted to Grassy Glide my Rotom or my Tinglu. I'm not gonna allow this to happen. While at the same time, it's a good pivot mon. It has with U-turn, has access to knockoff. It has great stabs in Power Whip and a signature move Trop Kick, which lowers attack. Also having access to Triple Axle, which is really nice into opposing grass types as well. This thing has a lot of great moves, and I think it has Bulk Up too. Correct me if I'm wrong there. To boost itself. So yeah, this thing is a very, very nice one. Some very, very great moves, and also a very, very strong physical attacker when we need it to be. Also giving us the rapid spin that we desperately needed on this team. So yeah, very, very nice pick. I'm super glad I didn't get sniped on it. Going into round 8. This is where we obviously have like a very strong spine of a team, and now we're looking at what few roles that we still needed. I was very, very much struggling on this pick because I was like, what do I need still on the team to support what I've got? And in the end, I ended up with Weezing. This was like a very last minute look at the board, and I was like, okay, I think this could work. I did notice I was looking at the team, and we didn't have like we didn't have a grounded poison obviously yet. We didn't have a poison type in general, and we needed one desperately. At the same time, I wanted like a Pokemon that I could heavily rely on to be a strong physical wall. Obviously, we've used Weezing in the past, Galarian Weezing, and that did very, very well for us. This one's a little bit worse. Obviously, it doesn't have access to Defog, doesn't have the Fairy typing, which is so strong, and doesn't obviously have doesn't have 3 great abilities. Only has the 2 because it has Stench, which is never going to really work with 60 base speed. Obviously, if you're faster and you hit them, there's 20% chance to flinch, which isn't going to happen very rarely. So most of the times we're going to be levitate. And I was thinking to myself, do I want Weezing? Because obviously we don't have a grounded poison then, and I feel like that's such an important part of draft. So having grounded poison, just be able to absorb T-spikes, right? But at the same time, I was looking at my team. We have 3 incredible removal Pokemon right now, right? Do we really need? We could just throw Boots on a Serena or a Talonflame and just defog or Rapid Spin. So I was like, I don't mind as much having the Weezing, especially because we can just be neutralizing gas if we really, really desperately need it. So yeah, I was very excited to use this thing. Obviously, great access to poison moves while at the same time having the fire moves to deal with those steel types on a wall. It has access to Will-O-Wisp and Toxic, which is great. Toxic Spikes was also a very, very nice addition to our Hazard game. Obviously, having Spikes and Stealth Rocks already, this is a great addition to those 3 because T-Spike's always nice to have if an opponent doesn't have a great grounded poison. While at the same time, just kind of also having the 60 base speed, which is very, very nice on our team. Just means we have a 60, 70, 80, 90, and then 110 mon, which is very, very nice. I always like to have that on the draft. So yeah, this thing filled a lot of roles. It is Curium, I will say the name, and yeah, very, very excited to use this guy, and hopefully obviously I don't think he'll do as well as our time using Galarian Weezing, but I think it'll be a good mod nonetheless. So yeah, going into round 9, obviously we were at the point of the draft where we're ending the draft, and we have our last 2 picks, right? Last 2 picks that we need to find a combination of 2 mons that completely allow this team to thrive. I was thinking, what is something we need at this point in this draft, right? And I was thinking to myself, look, we have very good physical attackers, stuff like Conkeldurr, Serena, Tinglu. But on the special side, I thought we were a bit lacking, right? We only have the Latios, which is obviously, it's not only a Latios, it's an incredibly powerful special attacker. Rotom Water is pretty strong, and I guess Weezing is obviously more, is going to be more often run special just because of access to Flamethrower, even though it has a higher attack stat. So at the same time, I see it wants to sometimes be physical. So I was like, we only have 2 like out and out special attackers that always want to be special. So I did want to grab another one of those. And I was thinking to myself, we don't have a ghost type yet. And And so we ended up grabbing Hisuian Typhlosion, Potassium the Hisuian Typhlosion. Obviously grabbing our second fire type, but grabbing that ghost typing. Has the 95 speed, which is very similar to Suncomb, but it's also very, very solid speed tier. This thing has 119 special attack. Obviously gives us that very, very high special attack that I wanted. This thing is like honestly a very, very good Pokemon, right? I've never used it before, but I've always heard good things. This thing is that scare. It's always like, you know, you think about this and you're like, oh, scary Choice Scarf, Eruption, which it can definitely do. But at the same time, it's a great ability in Frisk, which is such a great draft league ability, allowing you to just gain so much information by seeing your opponent's item. It also has the ability to use its signature move Infernal Parade, which is basically just like better Hex. Has obviously access to Solar Beam if we need it. If we set up Sun, we can be a Power Hub set 1 week. At the same time, this thing has one job, right? Come out, click a very annoying special attack stat, a special attacking move that deals a lot of damage, force out special checks and weaken them for Latios. That does Potassium's role, and I think it's going to fulfill it pretty well. And so going into round 10, obviously last pick of the draft, we still do not, you'll notice we picked up that 18-point Terra Captain Latios. By the start of the video, I said that we have 25 points, which means we still have 7 points open. And we very, very specifically saved these 7 points for this last Pokemon to be our Terra Captain. I was looking at my draft right, and I was noticing, obviously, we go 95, 110, 126 speed tier. I didn't think we really needed anything in the lower speeds to fix anything there. But I did want to grab something one more Pokemon faster than Latios, just to give us a bit more oomph, because we didn't have anything in the like 100 to 105 section. I just wanted to grab something that is above 100 speed that can just help out a draft. At the same time, I also noticed that we're a bit weak to Ghost on this draft, just because of Latios and Hisuian Typhlosion being weak, but only have the one resistance to include. Obviously, it's one of the best resistances, but I was like, I do want one extra thing. So in the end, we ended up picking up Chinchino, Silicon the Chinchino. Now, this is a very wacky Pokemon. I was actually very torn between this and Maushold, but Maushold I think got taken like 2 picks before me, so we ended up going with this one. I was weighing up the pros and cons of it, but in the end, I think Maushold 111 speed was just too close to Latios. 115 here, I think is just different enough to be very, very good. This thing has 2 great abilities in Technician and Skill Link. Both pair very, very well with its not signature move, but one of its most powerful moves, Tail Slap, which when we pair with Terra Normal does a lot of damage. We have 2 other great Terra types, Terra Ghost, which allows us to be immune to the only super effective moves on us, which are fighting, while also allowing us to be a spin blocker if we want to. And also with the same access, we have access to Terra Ground, which hits both of those resistant types to normal, which are Steel and Rock, and allow us to have great coverage overall. I'm very excited to use this Mon, right? This thing has access to Skill Link, Tail Slap, Bullet Seed, and Rock Blast, 3 great Skill Link moves, which I'm very, very excited for, or hitting all 5 of those. At the same time, we could be like Loaded Dice Technician sets and deal even more damage with something like, Loaded Dice Technician, Tail Slaps with Terra Normal are going to go ridiculous, right? At the same time, this thing gained such a huge move in Gen 9, which is one of the main reasons, which is Tidy Up, while functioning as essentially a 4th removal option, which was we might, who doesn't need more removal, while also giving us a Dragon Dance is ridiculous and allows us to deal so much damage with 115 speed, basically becoming like Scarf and Bandit at the same time is what Dragon Dance does, and just deal a ridiculous amount of damage. It also gives us a fast, especially physically offensive Mon, like physically offensive breaker, because obviously we had Latios as a special breaker, super fast guy. Typhlosion is fast special attacker. We didn't really have one on the physical side. Talonflame doesn't really count because it's not very, very strong on the physical attack set. So yeah, I think this was a great Pokemon to pick up, and I'm very, very excited to use it. I think it can do surprisingly well. I think a lot of people are going to underestimate it because it's a Chinchino. What is that thing going to do? And then it suddenly Terra Normal Technician Tail Slaps you for 1,000,000% after it tidied up, and suddenly just wins the game on the spot. Yeah, so this thing is going to be a very, very good, like, potentially even late game on if we break early with Latios. If we don't need to Terra that thing, not always, we can use this Terra on this to deal a lot of damage. So yeah, that is our team For the last ever season of PUDL, I'm looking at it and I'm loving this team. There's a lot of cool mons that I've wanted to use for a long time that I finally pulled the trigger on. We have such cool tower captains in Chinchino and Latios. It's going to cause so much havoc. I think it's going to be so hard to prep for our team just because we have so many threats. And yeah, I'm so excited to play this season. It's a bittersweet moment, obviously, to be playing the last season. Reiterating from what I said at the start. But yeah, I'm excited to do it, and hopefully we can get that win and be crowned the last ever champions of PUDL. I'll see you lot all for week 1. Bye bye.